and then I'm passed to my other facilitators. But my name is Jolina Jimenez. I am a senior drama major at Frank Sinatra School of the Arts High School. I am affiliated with YVO and ICI a little bit, which are two youth civic organizations that we work with. And I'm really excited to be here. This is my second time facilitating a meeting like this, and I just joined this work because I'm passionate about youth, I'm passionate about politics, and I love to combine the two. So I'm gonna pass it on to Shaq.
Hey y'all, good night. Yeah, it's nighttime now. Good night. How y'all doing? My name is Shaq. I am a junior in Queens College, and I'm partnered with ICI. And I, for one, it was like I originally got started off with what's it called? Restorative justice. And like through that pathway, I just sort of like came over here into like the whole like having more youth voice. And so yeah, definitely nice to meet y'all. Also, my pronouns are he, him, they, them. And I shall pass it off to Lauren.
Hey all, I'm Lauren Weisberg, pronouns she, her. I'm a sophomore at Hunter College in the English major. And I started with ICI because I was really passionate about LGBTQ plus issues, especially with youth. And I'll be passing it on to Westy Lone.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Wes DeLeon. My pronouns are they, them. I work for an org NYC C4H, as well as graduate school at NYU Silver School of Social Work. And I'm helping facilitate today, connecting through YVO. I love their passion for connecting youth to civics. I was early youth connected to politics locally in the city, and really interested in seeing how we can work with getting folks on community boards. Thanks all for being here.
Thank you. Before Shaq continues with the rest of our introductions, I do want to introduce Sanda. She is one of our adult allies here. She is the program director essentially for YVO and a couple other organizations that are affiliated. She does a lot. She's amazing. She is, I believe, in transit right now, so she can't verbally join or be on video, but she will be soon. Oh, is she here? Can you speak?
Here. I'm here. Hi, y'all. I'm
Hi,
Sanda, but
Sanda.
I can't introduce myself better than Jolina, so I will just say that we're thrilled to have all of you here. It speaks volumes of who you are, that you're taking time on Thursday night to come and learn with these amazing young people. So thanks so much.
Thanks, and now I'll pass it on to Shaq to finish our intros.
All right, perfect. Now that y'all have gotten to know us, we'd like to get to know y'all. And so basically, if everyone could, of course, take some time to process, because we also have icebreaker question to go around and basically say your name, your pronouns, the community board that you're a part of, and or organization affiliation, and what is like one quote or like saying that you live to this day. Yep, and it's also like posted in the chat if you need to reference it. And who's ever ready can come off mic. Feel free to speak up. You can also put it in the chat and I will read some of them out.
I'll jump in because my toddler just stopped crying for a moment. I'm Vanessa Aronson. My pronouns are she, her. I am on Community Board 8, in Manhattan Community Board 8. I'm the co-chair of the Youth Education and Libraries Committee, of which we need more youth engagement. So I'm so excited to be here tonight. And I'm a former teacher, so that's kind of how I got connected to the education piece. And I'm sorry, my toddler was crying, so I didn't hear all of the rest. And this is Labari. This is my son Labari, who will be joining us until he goes to bed. But was there anything else I was supposed to say? Sorry, here we go. Oh, and what is a saying or quote that you live by? Don't let perfection be the enemy of the good is my quote that I don't know if I live by, but I say it to myself a lot. Thanks.
Thanks so much, Vanessa. That's awesome. I've actually never heard that quote before, so thank you. You can go ahead and popcorn it to somebody, like warm call somebody's name that you see. And again, as I said before, we'd appreciate it if we saw more faces. If not, that's okay. But during introductions, we love to meet people face to face. But go ahead, popcorn someone, Vanessa.
Sorry, I'm trying to, let's see. Arena, can I popcorn to you?
Yeah, sure. Hi, my name is Arena Chowdhury. My pronouns are she, her, hers. My community board is in the Bronx, Bronx Community Board number 7, but I am here to kind of like see how the workshops go since I joined the Bronx one as well. And I'm affiliated with Youth Power Coalition. And so like we're trying to get more young people on community boards as well. So this is why I'm super interested in being here. And then I couldn't think of a quote like last time, so I'll just say my saying is to constantly be open-minded in new situations. And I'll popcorn it to Lauren Weisberg.
Hi, so I'm actually one of the facilitators.
Oh gosh, sorry.
You're good. So I've already gone, so I'll popcorn it. Or would you like to popcorn it to someone else? Thank you.
Yeah, sure, I can do it. I'll popcorn it to Eric.
Hey everyone, my pronouns are he, him, his. I'm part of Queens Community Board 5. I've just been more interested in understanding local politics, and having a voice being in the neighborhood all my life now. And then my saying or quote, I think is like, I think education lives on until you die or something, like you're always learning kind of situation. I'll popcorn it off to Thomas.
Hi everyone, my name is Thomas Fuji, pronouns are he, him. I am on Brooklyn Community Board 2. Saying or quote, I don't live by any quotes, but I always enjoyed the quote, all the world's a stage and all the men and women merely players. And I think it applies to politics pretty often. So I will popcorn it to Deborah.
Hello, this is Deborah, she, her. I am with Youth Power Coalition, and I live in the Queens Community Board 3. And the quote I put in chat was, we need to trust people to be experts of their own lives and to take them seriously and have faith in people to set the course for working from harm to transformation. And this is from the Community Response to Domestic Violence Creative Interventions book. How about, let's go with Barbara. Did you go?
No, I didn't go yet. My apologies for not having my camera on. I'm under the weather. And my pronouns are she, her. I live in Brooklyn, Community Board 1. My organization affiliation is with the Civic Engagement Commission. And the saying and quote that I live by is, the wisest man is he who knows that he doesn't know everything. Yeah. And I'm going to popcorn it over to, let's see, did Farah go yet? Or Benjamin?
I went, but Farah did not know.
Okay.
Yes, I am here. I'm sorry. I had a little problem unmuting myself, but I just got on. If you could tell me exactly what the prompt is.
So the prompt is your name, your pronouns, the community board and the organization you're affiliated with, and what's one saying or quote that you live by.
Okay. So my name is Farah Despain, pronouns she, hers. I guess a quote I live by is that the struggle continues. And I'm paraphrasing right now, but basically the struggle continues, but victory is assured. And my organizations are the New York City Coalition for Educating Families Together and the Community Education Council for District 8.
Are you with a community board too?
No, I'm not with any community boards. But I do attend meetings for Community Board 9, Community Board 10, and Community Board 2 because they all are, I guess the best way to put that is that they touch the Community Education Council district.
A lot of meetings. Who's next? Who do you want to pass it to?
Okay, so I'm sorry, I don't really know, but did Barbara Williams go yet?
Yes. Letitia is not.
So Letitia, I'll be happy to pass it to you.
Absolutely. Well, then let me just turn on my camera. Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Letitia Stewart. My pronouns are she, her. I am not a member of any community board, but I do attend the meetings for community boards 11 and 12 in the Bronx, which is where I'm located and born and raised. Organizations that I'm affiliated with, I'm actually executive director for a nonprofit called I Raise Girls and Boys International. And I also am a member of the Williamsbridge branch of the NAACP. And I would say in terms of a saying, one thing that I try to live by is know your limitations, which definitely in my role as executive director, I need to remember more often. So that's it about me. I think I'll popcorn it to Angela.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Angela Kelly. I am not a member of a community board, but I am a member of Mount Sinai United Christian Church. And on Staten Island, I meant to tell you guys where I was from. It looks like everybody else is from a different borough. One of the things that I live by is everyone can make the difference in the life of the youth to make sure that they become overcomers in life.
You could pass it on to someone now, Angela.
Did everybody go? I can't see. Arena, did you go?
Yes, I
She
did.
did.
Okay.
I believe Leandro didn't go, if I'm correct.
No, no.
I'd like to pass it to Leandro then.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Leandro Muson, and I'm part of the Community Board 4. I'm actually serving as the chair of the Development Economic Committee. And my quote is, don't let negativity stand on your way. I pass it on to Eric.
Yeah, I already went.
You already went. Okay.
If anyone didn't go, maybe could you raise your hand, whether it's on Zoom or in person, just so we don't skip anyone.
Dallas Full Chair, Community Board 1, do unto others as you would have them do unto you.
Nice to see you, Dallas.
Likewise, thank you, Ben.
Wendy, do you want to say hi? I think that's everybody.
Hi, everyone. Wendy Troll from the Civic Engagement Commission. I work with Benjamin. Great to see you all and really exciting to see this workshop happen.
Lovely. Nice to meet everyone here. I believe that's everyone that went, if I'm not mistaken. Next, we shall be ready to move into Menti. Jolena, can you stream for us? Perfect. And I'll put the link in chat. All right. So for those who can, basically, I just put a link in chat. If y'all can all click it, it'll send you to another like tab and it'll ask you to put in like a code and give Jolena 1 second. And she's now streaming. So at the very top, you can see that the code is 79. I'll also put it in the chat for those that want to copy it. 79639115. So basically enter that code in the next page, like once you click the link I sent to you, and you'll be entered into the Menti. If anyone's having any troubles, please let me know. Does anyone have any questions? Everyone's in?
Sorry, I'm just gonna swap to my laptop. So when I come in just a second, because someone just resend me the stuff, I'll use it and come back in. I'm sorry. Thanks.
Is anyone having any trouble logging on? I don't see that many people on the mentee yet.
No, I can't log in.
What
trying to-
specifically do you think
Where
is
should
the
I press?
problem?
Where should I press on the front? Because it's just a community board and civic engagement, and then I have the link, but I can it doesn't go to nowhere.
Well, as long as you're in right now, we haven't started yet. So if you see
Oh, okay.
community board, civic engagement, you should be good.
Okay.
All right, I saw Vanessa just come back. I put back the Menti stuff and as well as with the code down there for everyone.
Once you're in, can you maybe give a thumbs up or put a confirmation in the chat?
All right, I think this is good for now. We could start it. And for those that aren't able to join, feel free to follow along with the stream. There'll be some like multiple choice questions. For those, like you could consider your own answers in your heart, and like when the answers does come up. Oh, yep, I got you, Sandra. 1 second. Give me 1 sec. Yep, there it is. But yeah, so there'll be some multiple choice questions for those that aren't able to like fully get on to the thing at the moment. That's fine. Just like you could put in the chat whichever answer you think it is. It'll then show the answer. And for our short responses, feel free to also just like put those in the chat as well. And Sandra, let me know when you get in. Okay. So first question is, how many youth strongly agreed? Oh, yep. How many youth strong? Wait, go back. Okay. Is that the first question?
Sorry about that, guys. It got a little crazy.
Is that the first question?
Yeah.
Okay, so the first question is, what is the percentage of NYC community board members under the age of 25? I see we got some people, 3 people said that it's under 1%. 1 person say it's 5%. Ooh, it's balancing out a little bit more. 2 people for 5%. Oh, back to under 1%. I believe that's all the participants. All right, and the correct answer is it's under 1%, y'all. So next question. How many youth strongly agreed that they it is very depressing. The next question is, how many youth strongly agreed that they had the opportunity to prove their city in 2022? I see people got 11%, people got 20%. A lot of people got 11%. Oh, I see that 33%. 20, another person for 20%. Ooh, we have another person. All right, I believe that's all the picks. And the correct answer is 11%, y'all. So yes, the next question. Don't worry about answering fast. Take your time. What's estimated percentage of youth 18 to 29 voted in midterms in the 2022 midterms? Estimated. So put your answers in as soon as you can.
Sorry, this
Don't-
timer is so fast, y'all.
Yeah.
We need to fix that.
All good.
Sorry for that.
Oh, but y'all got the answers in though. So the correct answer is 44%. All right. Now there should be the short answers, I believe. Oh, so what are the benefits to youth participate? Oh my. What are the benefits to youth participation on a community boards? There is no right answer. Put whatever you have. They low-key made us pick a right answer, but don't worry at all. You'll be fine. All right. So we see we got some people that say better represent. Oh, well, it just stole away. Don't worry about that correcting. You all guys, all of y'all put amazing answers. Don't worry about it. So we got a resource for new ideas, representation of needs specific to next generation of New Yorkers, perspectives and wisdom, able to obtain viewpoints and perspectives from all community, voice, better representation as a whole country, and finally getting the perspective of this large and important, thank you, segment of our community. All right, next question. What are some barriers to youth participation on community boards? All right. So some of our answers, I'll gotta wait for this correct answer. So some of our answers are, of course, gatekeeping. That's true. Long night time meetings, biases, visibility. People are in school, like timing. Little outreach in order to include youth, older generation wanting to hold their positions, not knowing about the application, conflicts with other activities, lack of connections to elected officials, and not knowing how to apply. Those are all true. Very lovely. Thank you all for almost pressed the wrong thing. Thank you all for doing that little Menti with us. Now we're gonna move into another little fill out, but this one is more like creative, you know. You could choose the color sticky notes and stuff like that. So our next activity will be look back in some of the moments and activisms of like past generations, right? Perhaps some that y'all have experienced or like went through when you were younger. And so I will put this link in the chat. Give me a second.
I'm also going to screen share. Sorry, my computer is overheating.
Let me know
So
if you want me to take over on the screen share.
if you could screen share this time, that'd be helpful.
Yes, sis, I got you.
Thanks. But we'll actually pass it over to Lauren to lead this little activity.
Oh, the data deep dive?
The Jamboard.
Oh, okay. So I'll be placing the Jamboard in the chat. 1 second.
I already put it there for you, I believe.
You got it, Lauren.
Okay, so we'll look at some movements and activism past generations, perhaps ones you remember from your youth. We hope this can help frame the narrative around today's discussion and put youth movements into perspective. You'll have 4 to 6 minutes to put whatever thoughts you have on the Jamboard. Please use the sticky notes and feel free to move around the slides. So the Jamboard's in the chat. Let's see. What political social issues did you care about most in your youth? Did you know about community boards as a young person? How were you introduced to community boards / politics? How do you think the current political landscape compares to the political climate you experienced growing up? What questions / advice do you have for today's youth regarding politics? Okay, so we'll give you some time to put in the Jamboard.
And of course, I'll just add in whichever question you're most attracted to answer first, feel free. Take your time. We'll give you all about 5 to 8 minutes before going into it.
Does everyone know how to use Post-its to add to the Jamboard, or does anyone want or need a tutorial?
Can you please give a tutorial?
I got you. All right, so we're gonna be on this first one, for example, right? So right over here on our little happy sticky note, right? Oh, I can't move this one. So basically you could type something here. Actually, I did not the question. So like, what political issues did you care about most in your youth? So I would assume I'm still young. I'll put something random. I'll put chicken, right? So,
See, there are no bad answers.
yep. All right. So then you could colorize your sticky note. You could make it not have a color. You know, I'm feeling blue today. All right. So then you put this little check mark here. Then you could basically when you're putting in a sticky note, all of them will be dragged here. So feel free to like move it out the way. Otherwise they'll all get clustered up in that corner. But yeah, you could drag it, put it anywhere you want. And so, yeah. And of course, pick like how many of the questions you did. See like this one right over here. And like put it in a corner where you like it. If you want to make it a little bit bigger so we could read it out, that also works. And so, yeah. If you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Thank you.
We're going to come back at 7:08, 7:09 for time's sake. So I'm going to set a timer. Answer what you can. Don't rush. No big deal, okay?
Do you folks want background music or quiet? If you want background music, put it in the chat and we'll get some on for you. You got it.
Wrote a letter to the mayor, can you hear me out? Wanna talk on all the issues that I care about. Speak free, keep the peace when we say it loud. Meeting all my people at the city council. Pay attention so I know my rights. Education's gonna change the cycle. Volunteer, I can help a life. Communities, planting trees, recycle. If I'm just one person, will my voice even stand out? Can I make a difference if I don't even know how to change? I don't even know how to change. We don't even know how to change. I wanna know how to change. Information's all around. Go out and vote, cause I know it counts. Count the payment and act now. Make a statement and say it proud. Oh, from the street to the hill, join the campaign. Don't have to wait for some day just to have change. No, you're never too young to make a difference. You have the power to be an active citizen. If I'm just one person, my voice even stand out. Can I make a difference if I don't even know how to change? I don't even know how to change. We don't even know how to change. I wanna know how to change. One day I'll be a leader. Believe that we the people. It's our choice, our voices matter. Make plans to take an action. I don't even know how to change. We don't even know how to change. I wanna know how to change. If I'm just one person, my voice even stand out. Can I make a difference if I don't even know how to change? I don't even know how to change. We don't even know how to change. I wanna know how to change.
They 10 second detach. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, yeah. I wanna teach y'all a little something today. Teach them. A little something called check me out, listen. Okay, now let me start to tell y'all all about taxes. How much do you pay? Well, that depends on your bracket. The fact is, it's something that affects all the masses. But I'll break it down into a classic. You see, the Internal Revenue Service was discovered with a purpose by Abe Lincoln. The rich be like, what was they thinking? Now I'm saying, but let me get back to what I was saying, that the concept of tax can be a little complicated. You see, taxes pay for roads and interstates, and our local library that they just had to renovate. Not to mention, I grew up on food stamps in Section 8, all of which coexist because of taxes we pay. You see, 9% of taxes help provide to the poor, but 15 goes to defense and supplying the war. Now, if you ask me, I say that the numbers are true, but we agree that with no military recruit. I'll drop a little knowledge for whatever it's worth. Only 2% went to medical research. Now we just getting started, and I'll give you some more, but we all know.
All right, I think now is a good time for us to come back. Thanks for the great music, Sanda. But I see a post that's getting a little funky on that slide, but it's okay. Shaq, do you want to start going over the slides and what people wrote?
forgot I was muted. Yeah, I'll read out a few of those, and if I get to that slide and the post-it is like still humongous, I'll handle it, don't worry. So yeah, let me minimize this little screen thingy. Like, oh my, it puts it all over the place. There we go. Okay, so what are some political social issues did y'all care about most during your youth? I see we got, ooh, let me drag you up. Okay, I see we got race, I see we got student loans, education, reproductive rights, healthcare access, anti-Iraq war, and a lot of health and education. Oh, and climate. Oh, and arts. I like that. I'll move over. Oh, I can move it like that. Ooh, interesting. Okay, I'll move over to the next one. So for this one, did you know anything about community boards as a young person? How were you introduced to community boards politics? So I see a big no. I was completely unaware. Interesting. Didn't know anything. Nope. I did not know about community boards, reproductive rights.
And sorry, before we continue, I know obviously we see the post on the screen, but if anyone wants to come off of mute to share their story verbally, we'd appreciate it. We want this to be interactive. So if anyone wants to share what they wrote or if they didn't get a chance to write anything.
Yes, definitely. Thank you for that. I'll just read out a few unless like anyone else wants to chime in and point out something. But definitely I'm seeing a lot of no. And this one random reproductive right, I feel like you were on another slide. Someone was introduced to it because as a teacher. Oh, okay, so as a teacher, okay. Everyone else was no. It's very interesting. For this one, of how do you think the current political landscape compares to the political climate you experienced growing up? I'll just ask quickly, does anyone like want to speak on anything that they wrote? Does anyone want to speak on anything that they've seen, at least in this slide specifically?
I put the +1 for whoever wrote that represents a wider range of perspectives, because I think growing up, there was just sort of this assumption that whatever was represented on TV was like the only perspective. And I feel like little by little, there's more perspectives coming to the table.
Thank you for that. Anyone else would like to chime in? Going once, going twice.
I'll join in. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
So as a child, I never really heard anything about politics, and so one day Jesse Jackson, when he was running for, that'll tell you my age, he was running for president, I believe it was, he came to visit. And then we heard nothing. And then now when you look at the news, you see all the politicals, you see, everything dealing with politics and community boards, and so there's more out there now. And I don't know if it's because of social media and the new way of TV, but I actually like that it's more out there.
Nice. Thank you for sharing out. I definitely see a lot of people said like, there's more visuals and stuff like that. A lot more, it's diverse. I'm interested in the person that said it's much harder. I'm curious about that. If they would like to chime in, feel free. Also, we do have the chat, so I'll read anything that I see there. So no pressure. But yeah, definitely see a mixture of like it being hard, but at the same time, like it's a little bit easier now as we're older as well. We'll move on to the next one.
I'll just quickly say I was the one who put so much harder, and I think that today's political environment is just so much harder than when I was younger, because we know now, the sort of like the impact of neglect of the planet that we've had, because polarization is so much more extreme, because the economy is more challenging, because gun violence is much more extreme and more frequent. So the combination of extreme weather events, gun violence, political polarization, racism plays out in a different way that in some ways is more challenging. So I just think that, yeah, you got a lot on your shoulders.
True that. Thank you. All right, I'll move on to the last one. Oh, I keep clicking like the arrow keys as if they'll do anything for me. All right, so the last one is, what questions or advice do you have for today's youths regarding politics? Would anyone like to, raise their voice to answer or ask? Take your time. Also, of course, our chat is open for you.
Hi, this is Letitia. I wrote down make your voice heard and don't be ignored. Oh, let me turn on my camera. Yeah, so I put that down just because I feel like so often it's not the best idea to have others speak for you, especially when there's such a disconnect sometimes between the older generation and the younger generation. It's like, I hate for when people kind of go in and feel like they know what the younger generation needs, but there are no young people in the room. There's no young people to speak up, being vocal about what it is that they need. But you have this other generation that is just saying, we know what you need and we'll just make the rules for you. So I definitely would love to see young people just get more involved and definitely make their voices heard. And I think it does occur. And hopefully the more that they do that, the more change that we'll see and the more shift that we'll see. In that it won't just be certain folks that are sitting in those high level seats, but you'll actually get more diversity and more inclusion coming in, so that we have a better, and broader political field out there.
Lovely. Thank you for that. Do we have any other people that would also like to chime in? Feel free, take your time.
Yes, I would want to know, how can we make it more interesting for the youth to want to get involved? What can we do? What is it? Technology? Is it language? Is it, what can we do for you to make you come on board, to make you want to be there, instead of expecting you to be where we are at this point? How can we meet you where you are?
I like that question. If there's any youths, feel free to answer. I will say, like, really quickly, as I still consider myself a youth, when I was younger, I feel like the best way to reach me is like one-on-one conversations. Like, I personally enjoy those. And I know, like, in our last workshop where we did this, someone mentioned like having community boards, like in a sense, like reach out to schools and stuff like that and have conversations with them. I think that would be an awesome idea. That would probably have been something that like got me more into it, at least at a younger age. If we have any other youths that would like to chime in and say their own way of being reached, feel free.
I can go a little bit more. Okay, so I realized that there's kind of, most of the time there's like this kind of like disconnect between adults and young people. And I think that we kind of have to stop that disconnect by having conversations and being open to learning new perspectives. Because I think that once I had conversations with adult members of community boards and how they kind of approach it in a way that's accessible to young people, and it helps them to understand it in a more broad context, it can really lead to such profound change. So I honestly always seen how conversations with these individuals and how seeing how like adults make an effort, whether that's going to schools or trying to talk to more people. Like I think there's also always like this change of mindset where you kind of change from being like very adult centered and trying to be more youth centered in these spaces, especially if you're trying to approach getting more young people. So that's what I wanted to add, because I feel like when I have conversations with people, like especially adults, you can kind of see that shift between how some people have their own agenda and some others want to listen to your perspective and actively try to use it to help others. So I kind of think that like approaching it in a way that's makes youth feel comfortable, but also being transparent and accessible in your language can be really impactful when you're talking to youth.
Yeah,
Can I ask you? I'm sorry.
definitely.
Go ahead. I have a question.
Oh, I was just gonna, no problem. I just wanted to highlight something that Arena said, specifically outreach in communities, because I think it might be it's a misconception. I think that youth are not interested, and that may be true for some youth, but I think the larger issue is that youth are unaware, because even the youth that I would know that would love to participate in their community and local government and are super interested in politics don't even know that community boards exist, let alone that they have the ability to be part of them. So I think you already have the population of youth that are interested. You just need to let them know and like welcome them that this is something that they can participate in. But go ahead, ask your question.
So as the director of outreach, I'm charged with getting out there and promoting and supporting all the civic engagement programs. And one of the things that I tell my staff is that we have to always meet people where they are. And so one of the things that I am doing is making sure that when we do a civic engagement training, that we bring in people such as the youth to have a look before we actually go into the youth area and present to them. And I just want to know if that's a thumbs up from you guys or what.
Yeah, for sure. I think that, like, as we stated, how New York City specifically, it's so diverse. And even if you have like one conversation with one teen, it can completely differ from another teen from another borough. So like every time I have conversations with one another and seeing how like we can actively try to get new perspectives just by having these conversations or actively trying to learn them, I think that can be really important. And that's a thumbs up for me.
One thing I wanted to, like one piece, I guess, of advice that didn't occur to me, sorry, I'm gonna try to get my son's bath ready, until folks started talking, is like, I think when I was younger, I assumed if I didn't understand something about politics, that it was my lack of it was my lacking in something. And it's only as I've gotten older that I realized that like most people don't know what they're talking about. Like I very much remember being, this will be age me, listening to George W. Bush and saying like, I don't understand what he's saying. Clearly I can't be in clearly politics is not for me because I'm just not smart enough to understand what the president is saying. And I feel, and that was the same when I first got involved in community boards. Like there's going a mile a minute, well, they're taking forever, but also going very fast with parliamentary procedure and all of, I just felt like I was the one who was lacking. And now that I've been around for a little bit more, I think it's like, in terms of accessible language, it's that sometimes people don't use accessible language because they don't know what they're talking about either. or they don't know what they're talking about. I will fill the water, sweetie, I'm sorry.
All right, y'all. Thank you for all that. I will say for time's sake, we'll also start to shift over. So I'll pass it over to Jolina for the next part.
Thank you. And that was a great conversation, guys. And no worries if you had any more questions or pieces of advice. We'll be doing much more talking this evening, but I am going to give a little presentation. I think hopefully my computer has calmed down. I think it's had its moment. So this should work. All right, hopefully everyone can see that. I think you can. How do I make this wider? Can I do that? Yeah. Fun. Oh. Sorry guys, here we go. So I'm going to give a really short presentation on the NYC Youth Agenda. If you're not aware, that is pretty much the coalition of organizations that is hosting this meeting right now. We're a combination of mainly YVO, Intergenerational Change Initiative, Citizens Committee for Children, and other organizations here and there. So NYC Youth Agenda, who we are and what we plan to do to change NYC to better all youth. Here's a little snippet of a rally that we had after our policy breakfast last year. I believe it was last year. It was awesome. We had electeds, we had youth there coming together to have a really powerful message. There we go. Okay, so this census, specifically the NYC Youth Agenda, was developed by over 300 NYC youth ages 13 to 24 and covers questions related to policing, jobs, food, internet access, experience with schooling, civic participation, health, COVID-19 specific questions, and more. It allowed NYC youth to reflect on their current experiences and to suggest creative improvements to the systems and services for young people in New York City. All right, so we, the youth of New York City, are eager to work with policymakers to bring about transformation and to demonstrate the power and potential of youth-adult partnerships. Together, we have surveyed thousands of youth about their concerns and priorities for elected officials in New York City. From this data, we have created the NYC Youth Agenda, which we hope will fuel efforts to make New York City the greatest city in the world. We have worked collaboratively with adult allies from Citizens Committee for Children, CUNY's Intergenerational Change Initiative, YVote, and DYCD's We the Youth Advisory Council to compile data from several youth-led initiatives. We have data from the Intergenerational Change Initiative, the Youth Ask Youth Census, We the Youth, and ICI's the NYC Youth Agenda, and CCC's Voting Our Future, Youth Priorities for 2022. And there'll be some data points brought up later in this presentation, but also in other presentations that are compiled from all these different sources. Just a look of what we do throughout the year, because this is a year-round, multiple year effort. So in the spring, there's a team of youth that come together working closely with adult allies to create a survey to collect data from youth all over New York City. So that was kind of the beginning of the data that we developed later on. And then during the summer, this survey is published for all New York City youth to complete. On our community days, youth go out advocating for young people to have their voices heard with their Yay census. And what we mean by community days is we, as an organization, this is mainly done in ICI, but sometimes similarly done in YVote, where we go out into our community working with other youth organizations that are not like immediately part of our coalition to do community service, but to also engage youth in our data. And then in the fall, this data is sorted out and analyzed. This year, we have gotten over 3,000 submissions, which I think is pretty awesome. Finally, in the winter, after all the data has been analyzed, a group of youth come together to create recommendations and present to politicians at our policy breakfast or during personal meetings with influential individuals, such as the comptroller or even the chancellor. We held the majority of these meetings the past school year. They went really well. We met with some electeds numerous times, and we're hoping to continue these relations in the future. So we're making a lot of progress. Sorry, my computer's being a little slow. And obviously the question is, why do we do it? We are the next generation, and we believe our voices deserve to be heard, and hope that as politicians, you or anyone who just is engaged in the community in general, make it a priority to educate the youth on financial literacy and prepare us for the world that we inherit. Sorry, I think my computer is being a little slow again. Oh, that skipped a little too far. But here are our recommendations. And I'm not going to read through all of this because it is a lot of words, but just to overview our recommendations, these are 5 areas that we highlighted that we believe are the most important to focus on in regards to the well-being of youth in New York City. The 5 categories that we chose to focus on are housing security, food security, mental health, economic mobility, and civic engagement. We believe that these areas are the 5 areas that come together that really have the largest impact on the well-being of youth and how youth interact with politics, but also each other. There's some more data on these slides, but let me stop sharing. Right now, I'm going to pass the rest of the data presentations on to Lauren.
Hi, everyone. I'm sorry I can't put on my camera today. I'm having some computer difficulties, but Let's see if I can screen share. Sorry, 1 minute. Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to be presenting some data on Queens. So what are some problems you see where you live? When youth were asked that question, many answered it's dirty, there's a lack of affordable housing, there's violence, gentrification, houses are worn down. So just an overall consensus that people don't know if they could afford where they live in the future or now, and that the environment isn't great. And then when asked if they have opportunities to express their thoughts about their community to people who may be able to do something about it within Queens, youth answered, 24% answered that they disagreed, 7% answered that they strongly disagreed, 30% answered that they agreed, and only 4% answered strongly agreed. And then I believe that the large percentage that is neither disagree or agree is also an indicator of a problem, because more people in general should just be able to reach out about their thoughts in the community, especially young people. Now I'm going to move to, sorry, give me 1 second, my computer's being, sorry. And also 32% of youth said that where they lived was dirty, 19% of youth complained of gentrification, and 40% of youth don't feel hopeful about being able to afford to live in New York City when they get older. I think these statistics are really frightening, especially the 40% of youth who don't feel hopeful that they'll have a home where they have a home now in the future. And I'm going to be putting some links in the chat now that you can explore on your own time, since we are running short on time, and we can debrief the statistics we learned about. So what did you find most surprising about the statistics?
This is Benjamin. I'm going to just take the opportunity to chime in. One thing I've heard from this showed, and I've heard it from other people in their 20s and under, is that the concern about the state of their neighborhoods, like they're being dirty or things being broken, and that we really need to address that, and which is true. But it kept drawing up the parallels with the broken windows theory of the 90s and the Juliana area, that if you focus your enforcement efforts in those neighborhoods, it would help make things better, and it would clean it up. And that there's causes for that are deep. People hang out outside playing music because they don't have anywhere else to go, or their buildings are dirty or broken because they don't have the money to fix them or something like that. So it was interesting that people, I heard at one meeting recently, youth wanting to consider broken windows to be a theory that we should try to reinforce. And I was like, that was interesting. What are your thoughts on that?
I feel like it's really interesting, because it's like the whole idea that youth don't have enough community or spaces in communities to express themselves and to even just exist within. And since we're running short on time, I'm gonna go to the next question and just get one person. What can we do to acknowledge and do better? And then just a little warning, we're gonna delve into deeper solutions next. So it's okay if it's just a short response.
I mean, I think maybe we can just take youth seriously. What was not shocking, but hit home to me was that one of the priorities was mental health, because there was a mental health resolution that came through our community board, and we supported it, but I could tell that, I don't know, I felt like a lot of people just thought it was like a nice to have thing, not a real crucial issue. And I think that might be a generational divide as well, but I don't know. So like, I feel like we didn't take them as seriously as a board as we could have. And yeah. Or we didn't do as much to take them seriously, I guess.
Yeah, I definitely think that taking youth seriously is an important step in the right direction towards really hearing what they have to say and taking into account their feelings about their community. Since we're so short on time, I'm going to pass it on to Wes De Leon.
All right, thanks, Lauren. Yeah, gonna be mindful of time as we're jumping in just to this last part of our agenda, and I just wanted to ask a couple questions with the group. Gonna have like a nice group discussion time, and I just wanted to start with, if I can hear from a couple people, what do they think? Sorry, about why intergenerational alliances are important to them. It'd be great to hear from some folks that we maybe haven't heard too much from yet this evening, if anybody wants to start us off. I think for me, one of the great important pieces of intergenerational alliances in this type of work specifically is, it's good. I've heard a lot from other folks that were talking earlier. Letitia brought up a great point, talking about sometimes seeing in these spaces how older adults or those folks that are already there kind of saying, we know what you need. We're here to hear your voice, but are those voices of our young people really there? In my opinion, getting connected through teachers and professors into civics was, a great way for me to feel like, as a young person, I could take part in my local politics. Anyone else have any thoughts on that? Or any experiences? Anyone from the group?
To just answer the general question of why intergenerational alliances are important, I would say most of politics is coalition building. When you want to approach an elected leader with an idea, you need to show that a wide variety of people support it. It's easy for them to discount you if you're just one specific group of people. If you're presenting an intergenerational alliance of, middle-aged people, older people, and younger people who all support the idea, they're more likely to realize that if I don't make this happen, I might not have my seat next election. So I would say that's the most important part.
Thanks, sir. Thanks, Thomas. Anyone else?
Okay, I can add on. I can say that in like most youth-led organizations, there's always like those adult allies who always kind of like uplift your voice, but also tries to help you in some sort of way. Because I think when I've been in a part of like intergenerational organizations, I've always kind of felt welcomed and comfortable, which does take quite some time. But I think that when we have like differing ages of people, it kind of like helps your organization um, m- build itself, but like be more inclusive as well. Because I feel like when we grow older, because I'm a youth right now, I'm having to encounter more adults and having to encounter more people that are older than me. And I think that having to face it when you're younger and like not being intimidated by them and openly having conversations and open communication, like I think that's really important in general, like in human life, because we do face these kind of people every time. But when you work together, it always is more productive, I think, because I think adult allies can really bring a lot of help to young people and uplift their voices in meaningful ways.
Great point that Arena's making about how that variety in perspectives through the variety of ages in these alliances, right? And making collaboration more productive, making those conversations more transparent. I really love that. I entered there in the chat, just as the next question, jumping off point, how do youth perspectives impact your work currently, and how can that work be more productive, as Arena was saying?
I'll jump in and say, I mean, I think that tonight's workshop is a really powerful demonstration of youth perspective. So Benjamin and I had talked about wanting to do something on intergenerational alliances, wanting to do something on how to get more young people on community boards. So we had like that big idea, right? But everything else, came from young people. And if Benjamin and I had designed it, wouldn't be nearly as good as, what you're experiencing tonight because, of the authenticity that comes from young people, just like being on the ground with other young people, knowing what the barriers are, what the opportunities are, like having creative ideas and insights that fuel, everything else. And so when young people aren't at the table isn't as good as it could and should be. And even like I've worked with young people for decades, but that doesn't take the place of having young people directly involved and informing and leading the work. And I think we fool ourselves if we think, oh, well, I know because I'm a parent or I talk to young people or I'm a teacher or whatever it is. It is having young people directly like in conversation.
Thank you, Sandra.
Yeah, and
Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say I definitely agree with that. So my organization back in early September held a roundtable discussion that had, kind of key members of the community and those that work with young people and whose work really revolves around young people. And the topic was around mental health, actually, and children's mental health. And we actually had 8 young people, teenagers that were in the room and actually told their own personal stories of their mental health challenges. And one of the things that they stated was that sometimes they did not feel supported because they kind of got blown off, like, you're young, like what problems can you possibly have, right? You don't have any real troubles. And so think their issues didn't really get addressed. So one thing that everybody that was in that room, and we had like social workers, all sorts of people in the room, all walked away saying the same thing, which was that the best part was hearing directly from those young people, because we do think that, okay, we have the solutions. And of course, mental health is like a big topic now. And so, you have all these decisions being made, but again, nobody's talking to the young people to hear from their perspective what it is that their issues are and what they actually need. So we definitely have to get more younger people. I hate to say, and it's not to say that the older generation isn't, because I'm kind of part of that older generation. So it's not to say that all, the older generation is bad, but it's like when they're not open-minded, that is bad. So they have to be willing to want to partner with and understand that it's important to partner with young people. In any of these decision makings when it comes to the community. It's not just us, making these decisions. We all live in the community, and it's, what happens here is important to all generations, all ages.
Thank you for sharing that. I think it's really important to highlight, folks that may say they know what young people think or what young people need. I think having more perspectives at the table will offer us more solutions to the problems that we have, especially in a huge city like ours. Vanessa wrote in the chat, a mentor of mine from an older generation than me recently shared that their aim is to always have at least one youth mentor in their lives. I love that idea and have started actively seeking out my own mentors who are youth. It's true, we can learn from each other. That other one hand can help the other fill in those gaps, right, that we might have. What else? Love the concept of youth mentors. I agree. I've had mentors of all ages. I love that my friend group in my own personal life is a group that's truly diverse in ages, right? And we can share experiences together. We can share like grievances together. Sometimes there are less gaps than we think in ages. I think there's this idea that, we get a little bit older and we forget completely. I mean, those are choices that folks make, but I think that, again, we can always learn from each other. So great. Anyone else want to share?
Yeah, you said something about making room for people at the table. But I think with this new generation, it's not about making room at the table for people. I think it's about bringing them to the table, allowing them to check out the table, allowing them to see if they even want to be at this table, or if they want to create their own table. We're always assuming that that's where they want to be, at our table. But they often go off and build better tables than what we have. So, and I also look to the youth to be my mentor.
Great. I love to hear it. Yeah. I think we're finding new things to make. Yeah, not always a table. Sometimes we want to build a sofa, or we want to build a whole green park or a green garden on our own. That's always great. And I agree, I think that, the metaphor of the table is a little outdated for sure. But I think also it's important that when we connect with youth, we tell them about how that table, that idea was built, right? So that they know the basics of like, okay, how do I get involved in this? Who do I network with? Like, how do these certain mechanics work? Because yes, while we want to go and build something new on our own, we also need the tools that tell us, how did the folks that got there first before us, create those spaces? I think sometimes that's also something that's missing. Great. So yeah, what do you and your community board need in order to forge intergenerational alliances? I heard Barbara mention before about, finding ways to meet youth where they are. What are y'all's orgs or your participation in the community board? How are y'all doing that? Or how would you like to see your community board or your organization, make those connections? What kind of action steps could y'all do if you haven't already done so?
I would like to see a meeting that focuses primarily on the youth, like everything from the agenda to the items on the agenda. Let the youth run the meeting for that meeting. Let them take control. Let them do the outreach. Give them a chance to lead.
I know from my time on community boards, and what I've seen on other boards is they all have youth committees with no youth.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm talking so much. We are unsuccessfully trying to reach out to bring youth into our committee. But the way that we've been trying to do it unsuccessfully is through schools. But there's half the time we're not getting any responses at all. But even if we were to get responses, it's still a gatekeeper, right? Because who the school is going to refer us to is going to be its own segment of the youth population. So I'd love to know how we can try to just reach youth in our community directly. Because
something that I feel might be a little more effective in schools is looking at other youth community organizations similar to us, but I know there's also more community concentrated organizations that are just for specific, I know there's a one for the Greenwich Village, not that that's an underrepresented population, but that's just another organization I'm familiar with, because I think you might have a better opportunity contacting youth that are already interested in politics that might increase your responses. I know if some of the younger people at Y vote, I'm a senior, so that wouldn't really be an opportunity for me, but we have some younger people that would love that opportunity that I just don't think are aware that opportunity exists. So I know that kind of adds its own filter of we're not contacting maybe the most representative population of our community, but that's somewhere to start just to make sure that you do get responses. And yeah, it can be kind of like Sandus said, organize a campaign. And I think once you get a couple youth involved that are already involved in politics, that is how you branch out to other youth, because youth listen to other young people more than anyone else. If I have a 40-year-old random person asking me to do something opposed to my friend, I'm probably going to go along with what my friend is doing, because if they think it's interesting, I probably think it's interesting too. So there is not, like, people who are already interested in politics is not the most representative population of youth, but I think that's definitely somewhere to start. And I hope you do.
Is
end up
Jolena
getting more
breaking up for other
responses.
people?
Oh, sorry. I think Sanda might be the one glitching.
Think so.
But yeah, Vanessa, I hope you guys do end up getting more responses, because I know a couple youth that would love to be involved.
What can we, like, what can I follow up with all of you guys and
We
say,
can certainly connect
tell me
everybody.
all the people you know? Like, I was so excited to get the invite in my inbox the other day. So I'm hoping I can lean on some of you.
We'll connect people for sure afterwards, Vanessa.
Thank you.
So share resources and things. One quick question I have is, like, what is there a general time of day? Like, a lot of meetings are at 6:30, 7 o'clock like this. Is something at 4 o'clock better? Is that, like right after school, or something later better, or weekends? I know there's no one answer to that, but what, like,
Yeah, I feel like again, like you said, there is no one answer, because some students will have like their after school activities. So by the time they get home, it will sometimes be after like 5 or 6. I think like genuinely it's a matter of like, once you outreach with that student or like youth, you then ask them, hey, like, what time works best for you? Like, let me know your schedule. And I'm not saying like, oh, that means every day needs to be planned around them, but it's good to be like, okay, like, how can we bring your schedule in and have it work with everybody else, because I know like sometimes, like for me myself, like Thursdays, of course, I think today, yeah, today is Thursday. Like, Thursdays be swamped sometimes. Like, I know generally when I was like in school and stuff like that, like by the time I would be done sometimes with classes would be like 1+ a.m. type stuff. But of course, like, it's always just like depending on that student, depending on how they manage their own time, depending on like the way their classes interact with them, everyone will have a different like timeline. So it's best just to ask them directly.
Having such a full life, like life has gotten so full and there are so many blessings that now, like, my struggle today is finding balance in all of that. And how do I give without losing and abandoning myself? And I didn't even know that that was a consideration to show up to any relationships and not do that. And for a long time I did that and I had no idea I was doing that. But today I'm aware of it, I know. And
All right. Yeah, I think we've had some. All right. Okay. Anyone else want to share or have anything else with the group that they want to talk about that we haven't highlighted yet? Again, we're like a little short on time, but I want to highlight that. And then also, yes, some other folks are engaged outside of separate from Youth Agenda. If my contact, I'm also happy to share once like everyone's info is shared together. I think we can all, it would be great for all of us to share experiences and resources. That would be lovely.
I think it would be great if the Civic Engagement Commission were to partner with the Department of Education to create a curriculum that a junior year or a senior year government teacher in school could present to their students so that they know what the most local form of government is in their city. and how they can get involved and what the timelines are for submitting applications. Because I grew up in New York City. I went to high school here. I had never heard of it. I had never heard of a community board. It would be great if my government teacher had just told me so I could get involved early on.
That makes
Oh, yeah, Ben, you want to
Yeah,
go?
go ahead, Barbara.
I am proud to tell you that my team and I, we're working on such things as we speak. And we will be reaching out to make sure we have your involvement in this. Because as I say, if we want to build a table for you, we want to make sure it's done in a proper way. So.
Excellent.
On that, I'm passing on for closing. Shaq, Jelena.
Yeah, I'll close this out. I just want to thank everyone for such a lively, meaningful, thought-provoking meeting. I could talk about this for hours, and I love having conversations with different people. It really does make my heart happy. And before everyone hops off, I know we were having a great discussion, but I have 2 actions for you. One, I'm going to put a link in the chat that, oh, I see it's being copied, but that link that I just put in the chat is like an exit survey that we would appreciate everyone fills out. It's also in your participant agenda, so no worries if you can't get the link right now. But that's just kind of sharing your thoughts about this meeting that we had and any future connections that you would like to make. And also, I was wondering if everyone could make an effort to commit to something actionable before you leave this meeting, and that could take the form of like, I pledge to ... I pledge to reach out to youth in my neighborhood. I pledge to, you know, bring what I learned to my community board meeting the next time we meet, you know? I'm not sure what that pledge can look like for you, but I'd appreciate if maybe at least 1 or 2 people said it verbally and the rest of the people can put it to the chat, just so, you know, you put it out into the world, hold yourselves accountable. Does anyone want to start?
Well, I'll do some log rolling, and you could always pledge to share the information about the next 3 of these workshops coming up. Share it with your
I
other
pledge to
community
attend
board.
those 3 workshops.
What?
I pledge to attend all those workshops.
I see Barbara in the chat that I pledge to be more engaging with my youth and make sure they are seen and heard. I love that. And you know, this pledge can go for the youth in the room as well, you know, can pledge to, I don't know, do anything you want. We have another one in the chat from Vanessa. I pledge to organize a follow-up workshop with my specific community board because that is an amazing offer. Thank you so much. That's the goal of all this. That is the ultimate goal. So we appreciate that a lot.
And we can certainly help with that, Vanessa, if you want to reach out.
I see Santa put in the chat. I pledge to look into what, if anything, the NYC DOE Civics for All initiative is doing in relation to community boards. That's an interesting one. You know, I think we've all heard of Civics for All, maybe not heard of exactly what they do, but that's one thing. I see more interest in organizing calls. That's great. I would love for multiple people to get on that because I think Civics for All is definitely a missed opportunity. It has such a widespread reach, but doesn't really have like tangible impacts from my experience. And I see Irina said I pledge to continue uplifting youth voices and try getting more of my friends into their community boards. Yeah, definitely for youth, I think that's the biggest thing you can do because your friends are not going to listen to anyone more, they're going to listen to you. If anyone can convince them politics is fun, you can. All right, so I'm not seeing any more responses in the chat, but I see one more. The teacher said I pledge to mentor at least one young adult, learning more about their future aspirations and see how I can help them achieve those goals. That's awesome. You know, I think definitely that's also an issue. A lot of youth is that they don't really have a mentor to teach them how to do a lot of things, let alone engage in government, because that's, I think, for many people, such like a niche topic, even though it shouldn't be. But I think there's just a disconnect. So if you can really like humanize the experience of like being involved in government and like normalize it, I think that's really the key and like the culture switch that's needed to get youth more involved. All right, but yeah, if you haven't already, please continue to fill out that exit survey. We really love to hear your thoughts. I'm going to go ahead and put my contact information in the chat, just in case anyone wants to reach out to me. And please continue to put in pledges. I see another one. Says, I pledge to continue to organize young people to be civically engaged and to engage in their communities and the issues that concern them more directly. Thank you for that. That's awesome. All right, that is my email. You can contact me about anything. I see another pledge. I pledge to share about this meeting at my attendance on the next meeting. That's awesome. Yeah, we'd love to get more community board members, even if it's not your direct borough. You know, they're all interconnected in some way. We're all New Yorkers. Yeah, and we really do want to thank everyone. Oh, I pledge to discuss the results of the youth census in committee. Thank you. That's awesome.
We'll make
You know,
sure
we
we get
really
that
put a lot of work.
and share it out there too.
But all right, I don't want to keep y'all much longer. I think we made pretty good timing. Yes, one New York, definitely. But again, thank you everyone for coming. This really energized me. You know, I was having a bit of a dreary day, but this lifted my spirits. I would love to keep in contact with everyone who's interested, you know, further meetings with your community boards, or just if you'd like to join any of our other meetings. We do have 3 more for the other boroughs that have yet to have meetings, such as Brooklyn, Manhattan, and Staten Island. And yeah, if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me, Sanda, our organization partners, you know, anybody else. But I hope
Yeah,
you'll have
all
a
the
good
meetings
night.
are open to anybody, so
Yeah.
thank you so much. I'll let you have the final word, but thank you so much for joining, everybody. The Civic Engagement Commission is happy to see you and looks forward to working with all of you in the future.
Bye, y'all. Have a good night. Thank
night.
you.